Hello, my name is Tyler Perry, and today I'll be showing you how to paint Space Marine Primaris Interceptors from the tabletop game Warhammer 40k. I chose to do this for my maker badge because I have a lot of experience with painting miniatures, so I figured it could be something easy I can teach the people. What I've learned from my research is that there are a lot of different ways you can paint a miniature. You can spend a lot of money on paints and have them coming out really detailed, or you can spend a few bucks on cheap paints and still have them look nice. I'll be showing you how to paint cheaply so you don't have to spend a lot of money on this if you do decide to take it up as a hobby. I've learned a lot of things from playing, like different painting tips, how to remove mistakes, how to thin your paints, and how to use a transfer sheet, which I will go over in this video. So the first thing you want to do when painting a miniature is to prime them. This is basically using a primer to apply a base coat. Just like the kind of primer you would use. This little like handle thing you can use so you don't have to get your hands dirty when priming. To prime, you just go like this. You need to get every inch of it covered in black. So yeah, I'd highly recommend using rubber gloves so you don't get your fingers covered in it. Now, what this would do is apply a base coat so the paints can go on easier. So after you prime them, you'd want to let it stay out in warm weather for about an hour. Make sure it's sunny or it won't look right. So here's what the primed model will look like. And once you get that primed, you'll have to get all the materials you need to start painting. You'll need paintbrushes, a reference to what you're painting, a transfer sheet, which I will show you how to use, something to hold your paints on, your paints, some kind of cutting device, tweezers, a cup of water, and paper towels. Once you get all that, you may get started. So after you primed your miniature and got all your material, you can start painting. You want to start off with the primary color, which in this case will be blue. You should take a decent sized brush and just dip it in water at first. Then you can start painting. It's okay if you cover a lot of the miniature because you will be like painting over some of it later on. It's important to remember not to add a lot of paint onto your brush or else you get all look all blobby. So some painting advice. If you're noticing a lot of black marks while you're painting where the primer is, just wait for the paint to dry, then like check it out later, see if there's still black marks, then just paint over it. It usually helps cover them. So now that we've applied the primary color, we can move on to painting the other features on the miniature. Now a lot of these details are really small, so you want to use a smaller brush. Just dip it in water, dry it off a bit. Put the paint on and start painting. So as you can see here, I kind of painted onto like the blue part. So we don't want that. So what we can do is just take a paper towel and just wipe it off. If it doesn't come off, then you'd want to use a wet paper towel. There we go. Problem solved. So let's assume that the paint you applied is already dried and just messed up with your coloring. So what you can do is just take the original color and just paint over your mistake. It looks good as new. So now I will teach you how to thin your paints. So as of now, we've been using metallic paints, which are heavily watered down and don't really need to be thinned down. But if you're not using metallic paint, then this is how you want to thin down your paints. First, you take your brush and dip it in water. Then you go into the paint and just like start wiggling it around. Try to mix the water and the paint together. Then you just start making lines of the paint. Just like move the water around, just to see how nice your paint looks. You want to be able to make like nice straight lines with it that aren't really all blobby. Once you have that, then you can go in and add the details to the model. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to teach you is how to use a transfer sheet. This is the transfer sheet, and to do that, first you have to cut out the thing you want to use. Next, you want to dunk it in water for about 30 seconds. Now that's nice and wet, we are going to put it onto our model like so. Little problem here. Now that the image is on, we're just going to dry it off a bit. There you go. We now have an image on our model. And that is how you paint Space Marine Primaris Interceptors. What I've learned about myself is that it's hard for me to sit down and do one thing, as while I was painting I kept going up to surf the web. Painting was both exciting and challenging, as there were a lot of small details that were easy to mess up, like by painting over them. The most challenging part would probably be using a transfer sheet, as it's really easy to mess up taking the image from the transfer sheet and applying it to the model. I think the final product came out alright. If I had to redo this, I would have angled the camera differently, because the way it was angled made it really hard to paint and show it off to the camera. After painting the models, I would say that I am a maker. because I was able to create something and get good results. What I think being a maker means is that I'm somewhat qualified to make the thing I created and teach people about how to make it. So I hope this video has been helpful. Thank you for watching.